Hello, you are listening to A Woman's Guide, episode 29. Are you going overboard with certain behaviors to cope with depression or depressing feelings and thoughts? What can be done to resist the urges to overindulge? Today's episode is dealing with depression and overindulgence. Stay tuned. This is A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Wholeness After Sexual Abuse. For all of you listening, welcome to the show. I am Simone, your confidant and guide. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, so overindulgence. We're making the second round. Somewhat. Well, yes, I mean, between the 15th and 17th episodes, we were talking about overindulgence in general, but this is more specified to depression. So yes, we're going to get into the opposite end of self-neglect, which is overindulgence. Okay, and overindulgence, based on whether you watch those episodes or not, listen to those episodes or not, they are activities or behaviors that we do indulge in to cope with mental or emotional states of being, particularly when we're having difficult thoughts or difficult emotions, okay? We use it as a distraction to numb or to fill some empty place within us, okay? So overindulgence can result in food, alcohol, drugs, shopping, spending. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can do, but I'm just going to be focusing on a couple today. That's it. Once again, we're making reference to episode 15 to 17. I will add or, I guess, kind of tweak those points that I was speaking about in those episodes to conform to the info in this subject, depression. So, now, the thing I'm not going to speak about today is excessive body modification. I'm not going to talk about that in this show because I just don't feel like it's appropriate, and I think it's more pertaining to low self-esteem. It's not to say that if you're depressed you cannot do that, but I just don't really want to talk about it in this show. So yes, I'm going to leave it out. Okay? So let's get right into it. This is going to be a short episode. Overeating and binging, or just overeating, indulging, overeating, binging. Well, binging specifically means is when you're eating a whole lot of food in a very short period of time. Okay, and you're eating it quickly. But anyway. So, this is one of the most common and recognizable symptoms, along with undereating, okay? In depression, where you tend to overeat and you don't, I guess it's just a way to soothe and satisfy and pacify yourself, okay? And what happens is that you gain weight, okay? Just like with, on the opposite end of self-neglect, when you undereat, you lose weight. So these are the symptoms of depression. If you are losing tremendous weight or you're gaining tremendous weight, it's an indication of what you're doing, right? Okay, so yeah, like I keep saying, overeating is just it's one of those behaviors that I find to be like a coping mechanism, and most of the time we do not recognize that we're doing it to distract or numb or repress some difficult feelings and thoughts. Okay, we're doing it to numb ourselves. We're numbing out our self, numbing our thoughts and our feelings, our difficult feelings, shame, guilt, feelings of worthlessness, feelings of hopelessness. You just numb yourself, okay? But we also do it for another reason. This is something I didn't mention in that other video, which is probably 15 or 16, okay? Where, eating actually does give you a positive effect on your moods. I mean, I've known this, but I didn't really know to the degree of how powerful it is to eat and what it does to your mood to eat. But yes, it does have a positive effect on your mood. So when you eat, it releases certain chemicals that make us feel good and comforted and satiated. We just have an overall sense of well-being when we eat. It's like the same effect as taking drugs or taking or drinking alcohol. It's the same effect. Eating is especially comforting when we are feeling unhappy or sad, and giving us this temporary high, to feel good, of feel good emotions that we are lacking. So, but I'll explain to you in more detail why it is that we tend to overeat, or we like to eat so much when we're depressed. And of course, some of us, we don't like to eat at all. Okay? But the first one is first chemical that is released from us, or from our brains or our minds, or certain glands in our minds, our brains, that create this good feeling, is serotonin. And serotonin is a chemical that enhances calmness, improves mood, and lessens depression. Okay, so perhaps if you're agitated and irritated, and you don't feel well emotionally and mentally, you crave food because you may want to feel more calm. You want to feel more, you just want to feel happier. You want to have a better sense of, well-being. And it says, serotonin says that, or the characteristic, or what serotonin does, is that it really does lessen depression. It does. So it makes sense why we want to sit there and want to eat, because if we're feeling depressed, your body is like, okay, well, let me eat, because I want to have some more, I want to produce some more serotonin. But that's not the only one. There's also endorphins, which I'm pretty sure you've heard of as well, where it's your body's natural high chemical. Okay, it gives you a natural high, which actually gives pain relief and increases pleasure within the body. So that's kind of funny too, because when you are depressed, or when you're dealing with major clinical depression, most likely you're going to have some chronic pains, you're going to have some discomfort in your body. And if you eat, sometimes you may temporarily have a feeling of pain relief, increased pleasure within the body. So literally, endorphins and serotonin, as well as dopamine, which is something that enhances your mental concentration and alertness. And that's good for if you are foggy, if you're indecisive, if you can't seem to think properly. You know, this chemical helps with that. It helps with the concentration and the alertness. So you see why we would want to sit there and eat, if we're depressed, is because all of these chemicals that are triggered or produced or released when we eat can literally change our mood. It can literally temporarily change our feelings, change our moods and our being. Okay, that's very interesting if you think about it. Because if a lot of us, we feel like, oh gosh, I feel so crappy, or you see on those commercials or movies when some women, they break up with their boyfriend and they just want to eat ice cream. You see them eating a tub of ice cream. Well, what are they trying to do? They're trying to comfort themselves. They're trying to feel better. They're trying to bring some relief to whatever mental turmoil or emotional turmoil they have on the inside. So you see why we would want to do that, because your body in its own way wants to raise the chemicals, or to raise the levels of those chemicals that we are so desperately in need of in that state of depression. Okay, we're trying to overcompensate by eating those foods to regain that better, that state of inner calm or inner balance. Okay, so that is a very good explanation as to why we would overeat. Okay, especially when we're depressed. So here are some things. I'm just going to give you some things about what you can do to help with these overeating habits, as well as how it can help you in conjunction improve your emotional state and your mental state, and ultimately help with depression. Okay, help with lessening your depression. Okay, so the first point is exercise. Of course, I mean, pretty sure you're waiting for that to come. Exercise. What I did not tell you about exercise, though, I mean, I've always known that it does release certain chemicals, but what I did not tell you about exercise is that it elevates the levels of endorphins, which I was just saying, that relieves pain and increases pleasure. So that's very, very good. Okay? And therefore, it cuts the carb cravings because we tend to crave carbs because we want endorphins. That's pretty interesting. There are literally the types of foods that you crave are in direct connection to what it is that you really want to do, or what you want, what your brain is wanting to do, or what issue that you're having. You understand? So, based on your cravings, it could tell a lot about what your emotional and mental state is. So, what I'm saying with exercise is that it elevates your endorphins. So, therefore, your body doesn't have this need, it doesn't have this craving for carbs nearly as much because you naturally produced it through exercise. So, that's cool. It also lowers dopamine levels. And I know I said dopamine is very, very good for mental awareness or mental alertness and concentration. But what the thing is, sometimes we have too high levels of dopamine, which can actually create this more aroused and more agitated state of being, which we don't want. So if our levels of dopamine are too high, then this is why we get so aroused and agitated. Now, if you're more on the more sluggish, slow, really drained outside, your dopamine levels are not that high. So I'm just speaking about if you are more aroused and more agitated within your body, then probably your dopamine levels are a little too high. So anyway, what I'm saying is that it lowers the dopamine levels. So you can have more calm, more peace, you can have more relaxation, and you feel it in your body after you're done working out. You can feel your body relax. You can feel the calmness within you. Okay? um Norepinephrine, I think. I don't even know how to pronounce it. I hope I pronounced it properly. Norepinephrine levels lowers. Okay, levels lower. Okay, which which leads to lowered appetite and more balanced mood. Okay, so this is what helps us with the cravings and the wanting to overeat, wanting to overeat, wanting to overeat. So we just exercise, and exercise can help you with those levels, and then it will release. And I noticed that with myself too, because I could be craving something before when I exercise, and then after I exercise, I don't really feel for anything. I don't really have this craving or this insatiable craving or appetite for some kind of food or many different kinds of food. Sometimes it actually suppresses my appetite altogether. So, you know what I mean? Exercise can really, really help. So, it lowers dopamine, and it lowers norepinephrine, okay? Which leads to decreased appetite and a more balanced mood. So that's very good. That's very good. The next point is, and of course relating to episode 15, is, eat more nutrient dense food. Eat more nutrient dense foods. Well, this could also relate to episode 27 because I speak about these things too. Eat more nutrient dense foods, okay? So that means get essential vitamins and minerals, what your body really needs, and therefore you eat less. And it's true that if you really take in what your body really needs, it won't really crave. It won't really crave. It will crave less because it has what it needs. Usually you crave something because it's like your body's looking for something. Well, just like I said, in addition to you wanting to get those higher levels of endorphins or serotonin or endorphins, okay, dopamine, sorry, I hope I didn't repeat myself, okay, in addition to that, but also because your body's trying to find something else. It's trying to find those actual nutrients and vitamins that it needs to help you heal and help you to, feel better emotionally and mentally. Because I remember what I told you. If you're lacking in certain vitamins, it can actually cause depression. If you're lacking in certain vitamins, it can cause depression. It can cause a more imbalanced mood and mental mind. Okay? So eat more nutrient dense foods. Get essential vitamins and minerals, what your body needs. Therefore, you will eat less. And when you eat low nutrient dense foods, you eat more. I mean, when you eat stuff that's empty, like empty foods, foods that don't really have nutrients, they don't really have complex carbs, it doesn't really have that stuff that your body really needs to sustain and to maintain itself, you eat more. You eat a lot more of it. And also, if you eat those stuff that's sugary, that stuff is addictive. Of course, for the reason that I was explaining about, your body wanting to, you know, raise those levels of serotonin, endorphins, and dopamine, okay? It wants to bring those levels up. The sugar is addictive, okay? And it just makes us want it more. It's just addictive. It's an addictive thing, okay? So the more sugar you eat, the more you're going to eat, okay? The more sugar you just cling to that and you don't really cling to anything else, you're going to just continue to eat that. So also what I want you to do is eat foods high in fiber. Eat foods high in fiber. Like I said, it controls hunger, and this is just going back to episode 15, sorry. It controls hunger and you feel full longer. You have more satiation, so you eat less. Okay? This is another point that I didn't really say in one of the other episodes, is that try to get yourself into a better mood before you start eating. What I mean is that try not to be so overly emotional, because I know you're emotional already. If you're depressed, you're not feeling good. Perhaps it's just a little static running through your mind, or you're just having these very dull type of depressed feelings running in the back of your mind. But what I'm saying is try not to get yourself emotionally aroused, really frustrated or really angry or super, super upset, super despaired, because it causes you to eat more. You will eat less if you feel better before you, because when you feel worse before you eat, you tend to want to eat more. You eat more. You don't care as much. You just want to shove it down your throat. You just want to eat it. You don't care what the consequences are. You just want to feel better, so you tend to eat more. So try not to feel or put yourself in a place where you feel so horrible that at least just try to feel better. Try to feel better. Do deep breathing, do some meditation, stretch, exercise before you eat, perhaps. That can work. Maybe you can exercise before you eat. I know that I do that sometimes, especially in the evening. I exercise before I eat. That way, it's like I only take in what I need. And also, my body's so relaxed and so calm, I just tend to not really eat as much anyway. And the cravings are a lot lower. Okay, the cravings are a lot less intense. In fact, they're pretty much non-existent. So I tend to eat after I exercise. That's what I do. Okay. So the other point is, and I'm just reviewing some of these points. I'm just reviewing for episode 15. Keep junk foods out of the house. Keep tempting foods away from the house, out of sight, out of mind. Keep that stuff away. Keep it away from you. Okay? Obviously, it speaks for itself. You don't want that in your house. You don't want that around you, because it's just going to make you want to eat it. The other point is, eat as soon as you feel hungry. Do not wait until you're extremely hungry or famished. Don't do that. Because what happens when you're very hungry and you start to finally eat? You eat too much. You eat too much, you eat too fast, and then you end up too full. And then what happens if you keep doing that? You're going to end up overburdening yourself, creating more lethargy, more fatigue. Also, you're going to gain weight, so try not to do that. Waiting too long is going to increase your feelings of hunger. That's just how it is. That's how the body's designed anyway. You're going to sit there, or you're going to go about doing whatever you're doing, or taking too long to eat. It's going to make you famished. You are going to be famished, and then you're going to end up eating too much, and then you're not going to feel good after that. This is another point. Get adequate sleep. I know adequate sleep. I keep talking about adequate sleep, but adequate sleep actually helps with cravings. It actually does. It helps, to stable you and balance your mood. It helps to suppress certain chemicals like ghrelin, um, that gives people the desire to eat. So ghrelin is what causes you to feel hungry, okay? It gives you the appetite, increases your appetite. So what happens is that it suppresses ghrelin, okay? So you have less of a desire to eat, and it raises the levels of chemicals like leptin that that suppresses appetite and hunger. Okay, so those two chemicals oppose each other. Basically, they do the opposite thing. Okay, so it raises levels of leptin, which suppresses appetite, and lowers levels of ghrelin that gives you a desire to eat. Okay, and I notice also in terms of this is I find that maybe it's related, maybe it's not related to, but I find that when I don't sleep enough, I eat more because it's just like because your body's so fatigued, it's so tired. And not that what I was, it was not when I was depressed, it was just when I was whatever, regularly um, going about my life, and I was not sleeping enough. But because I wasn't sleeping enough, I was eating more. I was eating a lot more because it's like my body's so fatigued and it needs that energy, that extra energy that it doesn't have because the body's not well rested. I would eat more, and because I would eat more, then it wouldn't be good for my body. My body would just feel laden and heavy. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that I wouldn't eventually burn it out, but it's just I just tend to just keep eating over and over, eating and eating, and it's because I was tired. So that could also be that's gonna also be related to what's going on here. You know, maybe one of the levels of chemicals is too high, and it's just causing you to just have this insatiation of just wanting to eat. Okay, of food. So get adequate sleep. Adequate sleep is very good for stabilizing and balancing your whole body and your whole mind, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to speak about overindulgence with alcohol and make a few more comments after that, but overeating and overindulging in alcohol is really the main ones that I just wanted to speak about because I think they're just the most important. All the other stuff is, yeah. But anyway, overindulge in drinking too much alcohol. So for the same reasons of why we overeat, and which is basically to detach or to numb or to suppress our feelings and thoughts, is the same reason why we would drink. Okay, looking at. Okay, so once again, you're looking to regain good feelings, a state of calm, and a state of peace because of those difficult emotions and difficult thoughts and those difficult feelings. So you try to regain those good feelings by drinking. And with alcohol, it does give you a false sense of well-being. I mean, it does give you a false sense of well-being when you're intoxicated. You feel a little bit better, but overall, you don't really feel better. It just gives you that illusion that you do. And then when you come off of it, you don't really feel good anyway. Okay, but over time, it does damage the mind and the body, and it does not allow, we're consistently drinking and trying to numb and trying to drown out and detach certain things. It does not allow us to work through and relieve ourselves emotionally, which is the work that you need to do in order to overcome this depression. There's something emotionally or mentally that needs to be worked through to get yourself to a place where, the depression lessens a little bit. Okay, so it gives you a false sense of well-being. It's the same. Well, I would say kind of with food because it really does. It really does boost these chemicals. It really does boost these chemicals. Okay, those natural chemicals within you, that's going to give you a better sense of well-being. Now, alcohol, it doesn't really do that. It just alters your state of mind. It alters your mind a little bit. It kind of changes things and, you know, I think it screws things around in your brain, but it doesn't really naturally boost anything inside of you to make you feel good. So, in that way, alcohol is a little bit different. Okay. And also, over time, you can damage yourself. You can damage your body, you can damage your mind, you can damage your internal organs like your liver, um, because alcohol can be dangerous in large amounts. Okay, so you need to know that you cannot grow stronger when you are masking your true emotions. I mean, this is just a review. Um, Masking your true emotions, suppressing what needs to be acknowledged and worked out and dealt with. I mean, you just cannot be. In fact, in other words, what I'm saying is that you're just making the depression worse. You're making it worse. You're not making it better, you're making it worse because you are suppressing continually what it is that you need to deal with. And you can do the same thing with food. It's not that food cannot be done with food as well, but it's the same thing. I would say it's the same thing, yeah. Same reason why you would do it. The same results that you're getting from overindulging, okay? Okay, so let's get into the tips of changing this habit. Um yeah, it's going to be very close to the different ways that you can help with overeating. Minor variations, but I think it's about the same. So the first point is exercise. Like I said, you can release those feel good chemicals naturally, like I explained before. That is going to put you in a calmer, peaceful mood, relieve stress. Okay, so when you exercise, you find that you don't really need to drink. You don't really need to drink because you have these feel good chemicals. You feel calmer, peaceful, you feel less stressed, and over time it lessens the depression. Okay? Meditation and yoga. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is definitely, what I keep speaking about is meditation and yoga. So it does help. Meditation and yoga helps. I keep speaking about that over and over again. I won't go over that again. Pretty sure you know by now what meditation does. Treatment center or rehab, if applicable. Yeah, depending on whether it's an addiction or not. A treatment center or rehab may be something you need to consider if it's to the point where it's an addiction or it's something that you cannot seem to live without and you're not dealing with your issues and other people are having a problem with that. Perhaps you might need to go to a treatment center or rehab. Next point is get more adequate sleep, just like I said with the food, because it helps to, or yeah, like what I said with speaking about overeating. It helps to balance mood inside your mental and emotional states. It's good for that, like I said. Okay, because all of these things in conjunction help you to balance more, become more balanced, and to lessen depression and to feel better and to ultimately heal yourself. Okay, so that's not all I have to say, but anyway, um, keep alcohol out of the house. Keep it away from the house. Keep it away from the house. If it's something that you find is a temptation, keep it away from the house. Avoid hanging around other people who drink, because that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt. Really, tempt you and prevent you from trying to do things in a more healthier way. It's not to say you can't be around people who drink. It's just that if you are trying to not do it, or if you're finding yourself drinking too much and you don't like what you're doing, that perhaps you need to stop hanging around people who are drinking. You know. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. I would say find your triggers, but we know the trigger. The trigger's just depression and everything that comes with it. Depression, it's the feelings of guilt and shame and worthlessness and hopelessness and whatever it is, other issues and wounds or problems that's going on within you that need to come out or need to be dealt with. So I would say that's the big trigger. Okay. But anyway, other substances like drugs, I mean, prescription or illegal, I would say the same would apply because I mean it's the same method, it's the same result, it's the same reason. It's all for the same thing. Okay, the same thing would apply. Um, of course, some people like to abuse prescription drugs. It's not to say that it's illegal. It's legal, but you're using it and abusing it for the wrong reasons, and that's an issue. Illegal, of course, you're going to have an issue with the law if it's illegal. That's why it's illegal. And also, it can be very extremely dangerous. So you need to look within yourself to see if it's worth it to do something like that. And I would say that if you are indulging in drugs, or whether it's prescription or illegal, then, a treatment or rehab is in order for that type of thing. Okay? Of course, there are other indulgences that we engage in, like I was saying about body modification, and excessive body modification, and shopping and spending, sex, social media, internet texting, gambling, cigarettes. I mean, there's all kinds of different things that we indulge in because we're depressed, but, there's tons of these things. Okay, but I think that many of these tips can be applied to these other behaviors. Of course, you tweak it to suit what it is that you have the most issue with, or what you have the issue with. Okay, but these are not really the ones that I really wanted to get into. I just wanted to get into the main ones like alcohol and overeating, because I think those are the main important ones that we engage with, we indulge in because of depression. Yeah, especially major and clinical depression for sure. Those are the main ones. Okay, so yeah, that was it. I mean, it's very short and sweet. I didn't really want to get too deep and too expansive and in depth with those ones because, like I said, I had other episodes about overindulgence already, and I just wanted to point out anything that I could have missed or anything that relates to depression, anything important that I wanted to say about those issues or behaviors. So that's what I wanted to say about that. Yeah, so that's all I have for you today. Thanks for listening to A Woman's Guide to Reclaiming Wholeness After Sexual Abuse. And if you like what you heard, please rate and review on iTunes. Next week, we will explore dealing with grief, loss, and letting go. So be sure to tune in, and until next time, take care.